Alright everyone, I've got something special today. This is a match from the qualifying stage of the Chad tournament for July, which is just around the corner. That's on the 2nd of July, and prize pool is open still, we're taking donations. Please ensure that there's a pot for the competitors to fight for and to be split amongst the highest placing Chads, because we need that to make this an actual event. Me and my opponent both topped our groups during the qualifying stage, so we're both really strong players, and this is to determine seeding. So this is the second stage of the qualifying for the tournament finals, and at the moment we are playing against each other to get the highest seed that we can get. I'm using this qualifying stage as an opportunity to test out ideas and tactics and builds. I think it's worth it if I can test out builds and see how they do against players in a competitive environment, especially against the players that I'm going to possibly be coming up against in the actual finals. Then I think that's worth it. I'm going to do that. And I should give credit where it's due. This idea was spurred by the last tournament where Safe placed, I think it was Bowmonks and Boashigaru that he used, and he placed them just down the hill in front of the key buildings. So you can get a really strong vantage point and protect your bows. So that's a really good force multiplier that habilitates bows and makes them a really potent unit. This is a really good map in general. Look at this terrain. This is what I'm going for here. I should say that I lost my first game against this guy, Voodoo, and I wasn't that bothered about it because I was testing stuff out, and if I lost, I got to pick the map, and that's what I wanted to really do here. I wanted to be able to test out these tactics. So I'm playing as the Chosokabe, which is not considered to be a strong faction really, and it's because I get the daikyu samurai. So I've got two of them, and they've got 1 XP, so they cost about 1,100 each, something like that. So I've spent a decent amount on bows. I'm ready. And there's my voice from the actual game when it was live. So I'm post-commentating over my live commentary. I've got matchlocks at the front, and I'm going to be putting them in the trees holding the centre. So ideally they would be firing into units moving across the water that are slowed down, and they would also have cover in the trees. Matchlocks are really good when firing out of trees, so I'm going for that. So I'm going to have some bows in a strong position, some guns in a strong position, and I've got a decent amount of cavalry, a decent amount of infantry. I've got Yaru samurai protecting each daikyu samurai. And look at this range that they have. They have really good range, they have decent damage, so they can project damage out some distance. And I'm holding the centre. That's the plan, to hold the centre, and then if I can get away with it, I will go down there and capture these points if they're left unprotected. So I go for that on the right, and I get the armour dojo down there. That will help my bows. I've got cavalry hidden. Both groups of cavalry are still hidden, so that's something you can do in this map. You can hide units in trees, set traps, in addition to the obvious hiding that you can do with Kisho Ninja. So I'm not revealing units that I don't need until I have to get as much of an advantage as possible. Element of surprise. You should always do that, and I'll always be happy to do that where possible. If I don't have to deploy units and rush the middle, I'll try and put units in trees. And I notice immediately that he's going up the left. So he's Takeda, and he's got a decent amount of cavalry, and he's committing entirely to my left side, so he's forfeited the points over at the right there. So I'm gonna try and draw my units over. I'm not committing hard to it, but I probably should have, because look at that, he's just running across the water with everything, which is not a bad idea. That's a decent idea. Someone suggested, I think it was Safe, that I should have actually just crossed the river after he crossed it, so just rotating anti-clockwise around the map, and I would have been left with the points and retained the high ground above him. But I don't know, I kind of like what I did. I wanted to just see how this played out, and it was interesting. So here is me trying to meet the flank. Let's see how this goes. It's interesting. I'm trying to retain presence in the middle while committing enough to repel this push. Look at that, he's pushing out into my bows and my bows are firing. I don't know if I did much damage there. Did I get any kills? I think I maybe got a few. So I killed a few horses, but I'm not doing a hell of a lot of damage yet. But look at this range on the daikyus. And a rapid advanced, my Yari Samurai. He is firing back into my daikyus, which is a good idea, but daikyus have higher armor than bow samurai, I think, and also I do have the armor dojo, so I am not going to take that many casualties to return fire. That's bow monks that fired at me, and I only took 5 losses there. But I'm pulling back because I can just retreat and lose formation in the trees, and I will be almost impervious to arrows. And look at this, I've kept the high ground above him. I can't let him get above me because this height advantage is immense here. These are extreme gradients. I've got Yari Samurai that have rapid advance, so they're not exhausted. And if they charge downhill, they can do well against even Katana Samurai. You might have seen that in my impossible battle, Snowy Peaks, where I take on successive units of Katana Samurai by using the high ground with Yari Samurai. So when you have extreme gradients like this, typical matchups change. Yari Samurai can beat Katana Samurai. Yari walls can do really, really well sometimes. It's just rare that you get these opportunities and player versus player. That's what makes this so interesting. And he's second winded there, so he's using his Great Guard to regain his stamina before he commits to the fight. And I don't really want to commit to a fight here. I'm outnumbered vastly, and I can try and match units up because he's going really slowly. If he tries to push into me, he's doing it very slowly and I have a lot of time to react because he's pushing up a hill. But look at this, my units are wavering. I've got Yari Ashigaru wavering there. I've got Yari Samurai that haven't taken any losses yet. They've only just started to take losses and now they're wavering too. And this is because he's got so many units blobbed into my infantry. I've only got 2 units there and they're getting blobbed really hard. And any second now, yeah, there's a Yari Samurai and Yari Ashigaru. Routed, so they just routed at almost full strength, and that's because they were completely outnumbered and then got war cried. So he didn't really have to beat me in the melee there, which would have been difficult because he's fighting uphill. He managed to win that by routing them, and that was smart. He war cried while blobbing and while my units were tired and they routed. And now I'm getting some kills on the Great Guard with my matchlock Ashigaru. That's really good. And I can pull back up into the trees if he tries to push on that. If his Great Guard charges my guns, I can catch them with Cavalry. And now there's a bit of a chase going on here. It's alright if I lose a unit of light cavalry in a fight like this. If I charge downhill with light cavalry into a tough fight, they won't do that badly. They'll have a strong charge that's going to be amplified by the terrain, and then they'll die slowly, having advantage in the melee. And look at this, I'm going for the extreme gradient now. This is such a amazing scenario. We're retreating to a corner of the map where there's extreme gradients involved. He's threading up the map, and this isn't 2 bad players fucking around. This is emerging from the dynamics of the match. I've got the control points, he's trying to flank me and get above me. I'm trying to not let him get above me. I'm keeping the high ground on him, and I'm trying to keep my cavalry mobility advantage. Because if he sends a unit of Nodashis out, I can charge it with cavalry. All I need to do is wait for the opportunity. And down here, he's sending 1 unit to take the melee dojo down here. I've got a unit of matchlocks and a unit of Yari Ashigaru. So I should have that handled. But the thing is, when you're fighting around those points, it can be really glitchy and blobby. A sacrificial light cavalry, and then I go for the charge, but it's really blobby. And the general there, I should have had him. I should have had the general. So I've caught him a little bit with a Yari cavalry, and I'm trying to commit now with a second unit. If I can kill his general while keeping mine alive, I'll have a massive advantage here. I can then dismantle his army, because I've got a lot of components. I've got guns, I've got bows, I've got swords, I've got spears. If I can kill his general here, I should have a really good advantage. Oh, and this is worrying. I remember being really worried about this, seeing my units kind of glitching out here. Look at this shit. Look at how close they were to routing. And look at this up here, my cavalry have started to rout, look at that. So I've had good fights everywhere, and I've pretty much won all of my engagements. Like, I've picked good engagements, but because of being blobbed so hard and being tired and getting war cried, my cavalry just get war cried. Because of that, I've had units rout at nearly full strength multiple times, and I have done a lot of damage while that's been happening, but
This is fucking... Holy shit.
yeah, it just hit me, the absurdity of the whole situation here. I wasn't even angry that my units had routed like that. I thought this was quite interesting and fascinating, honestly. And now I'm feeling a good fight coming, because I've got the high ground on him, and his cavalry's taken a lot of damage, and I've got Yari Samurai out in front, and I've got the gradient finally. He can't get around me, I'm above him no matter what. And I think he realises this, and I've taken the melee dojo here, so I'm going to have an even better fight in the melee if my units... If my units will actually get on the dojo and stop glitching out. And I've got bows here firing down while they're shielded by infantry, so he knows that he's just hemorrhaging men to these powerful daikyu samurai, and he has to do something. So rather than charge up into the melee and get destroyed, he does probably the only thing he can do, and he decides to pull back. There's no way he comes out ahead in a fight like that. And he's sent cavalry to try and charge down my daikyus that are down here to my right, but I've blocked them with a unit of Yareshigaru, so that's a light cavalry and I think a Yari cavalry caught, and I've got Nodashi acting as a cavalry deterrent at the top there. They just have such a height advantage that they're a deterrent.
What the fuck?
Yeah, who can blame me for just laughing my ass off at this shit? It's just so funny. So he's deciding to pull down the hill, he's running away while my daikyu are firing down into him. And look at that, I don't even have any additional range. I should just be aiming a little bit up higher with my bows and plunging arrows down into that blob. And one of my guns got set up that I think he didn't notice. He might have just sent his cavalry here to buy time for the retreat. His plan is now to get down to this dojo and take it, and then fight me in the melee. Sword dojo or riot, he said. And yeah, that's the plan. He wants to take the sword dojo and beat me in the melee, so now I'm running down the hill, and I can maybe sandwich him here. Also, I've got that terrain feature, so if he does go for the dojo, I can come in behind him and have that initial firing position over him, so that's what I'm going for. I can see it coming together. And you can see with how he's swarming his cavalry over the top there that he seems to anticipate that. He doesn't have very many bows. In fact, his bow monks there are just barely in range of my daikyus. And he's got this problem down here to deal with. He doesn't have any cavalry really, so he doesn't have an easy way to deal with my guns and my Yareshigaru. So I've got a decent position down here. I'm trying to put my Yareshigaru down in the indentation and the water, just behind the river, while my guns fire down into whatever is in range. And which target do they take? Oh my god, they go for the Great Guard and they kill about 30 guys in a second. So that worked out. But I'm expecting everything down there to die now.
The men are fatigued, my lord, and some must rest.
And I've got monks down there, I think I have no dashies down there. If I fire into the back of them, I think they'll rout. So what I decide to do there, and it might have been the right thing, might have been the wrong thing, I decide to just run up the hill. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just trying to run up the hill and buy time for my bows to get set up. So I've sacrificed these units, and my Yareshigaru gets stuck, and then I decide, oh, am I going to turn around, am I going to run up the hill? I second guess myself there, and I eventually decide to run up the hill and get set up, and I see the cavalry going for a flanking position down there, so he's going to neutralise the bow dojo and then charge my guns from the side. Meanwhile, I've got daikyu samurai firing down here at bow monks, and I was going to try and snipe the general there, but I decided against it. I'm just trying to whittle down his bows, and I can just take whatever target I want here at the moment, I think. He's got monks with low armour, he's got Nodashi with low armour. I'm actually quite well set up with these bows. I can do a lot of damage with each volley at whichever target I decide to take, because nothing has armor over here really. And I've fortified my position. It doesn't have enough cavalry to flank all the way around the map and come down into me and take me out. So I just have to hold my position on the hill and keep my bows firing, and I should have a good fight. The longer the battle goes on, the more relevant the bows become as they stay alive. The damage that they've done really adds up, and I've got Yari Samurai there crossing the river. I think I should have rapid advanced with them. Bows are pulling back now, and then do I rapid advance with the Yari Samurai? Do I do that? Yeah, I really think I've got this under control at this point, so I'm just laughing at this. I need to keep my bows alive, and I need to keep my Yari Samurai above, and then I realise I left my general back there. Holy shit. I fucking forgot about my general. And a rapid advance, and then I go for the charge into the bows. And that's it, that's the last of his bows gone, I think. So now we have a position, a stalemate sort of, where we're holding one side of the river each, but I have bows, and I have my Nodashi core completely intact. I've got 3 units of Nodashi there. I've got a Yari Samurai. I've got a full general. He's looking really fragile at the moment. It seems like I've whittled him down enough, I've done enough damage, and now he advances through bowfire and a unit of guns there that's set up quite well. So I just got off a good volley into Nodashi, I think. I can now pull the guns back, Yari wall up, and block them. Meanwhile, a Yari Shigaru has rallied there. My guns just routed at nearly full strength. How many did they lose there? They lost about 40 in that charge, so they actually did take some casualties. And I'm trying to keep the height advantage over these units here. I've got the armor dojo, and my general's coming down for the stand and fight. And I've also got bow support here. I'm doing 10 kills per volley from these daikyus into these monks and nodashis. That's really good. So wherever there's a fight happening that I need support, I can just turn my unit of daikyus around and have them fire into the side of them and whittle them down. And then a nodashi charge should be enough to take it. Right, so here we go. I take a banzai charge downhill into them. I've got a really steep slope to charge down. I see a Yari Samurai fighting against a unit of Naginata monks over there, so I decide to focus it with my bows. Don't want to let my Yari Samurai get eradicated by Naginata monks over time, so I try and help them a little bit. I didn't get this charge here into these monks. I banzai'd late. And yeah, look at that concentrated bowfire into these monks. They should have that fight. My guns have come back on the other side. This unit of Yari Shigaru is in a good position for a rear charge, and I decide to go for the general, and it's looking really comfortable for me now, I think. I've got my general in stand and fight, helping the melee. He's got a unit of cavalry there, a great guard, that are going for a rear charge into my nodashis, but they should have a decent fight against those great guard because they're so well buffed up. And I'm going to wall up and just pull through this bodyguard, and that should be it.
My lord, a glorious victory will soon be yours.
Yep, and that's it, I think. So that makes it even against Voodoo, and I might meet him in the tournament. This was an interesting set of games, and I liked how this worked. Like, this was a really tactical, protracted fight with a lot of decisions involved. It wasn't just a rush. Like, there was a lot of stuff that could have went differently, a lot of decisions that were made, and this is what it's all about for me. Finding new ways to play, interesting novelty, and it's fascinating how even though a big chunk of my army routed without a fight, I still managed to win quite cleanly with pure tactical decision making. Yep, so remember to donate to the prize pool, and I'll just let the post match roll.
Sorry about that. I couldn't resist.
It's epic. Oh my god.
Dude, I was just chasing your cab for so long, and I finally got them cornered. And then, shit. I don't know,
Yeah.
it just went downhill.
Yeah, that was, yeah, literally.
That was like
Yeah,
that shit.
literally.
Fucking Helm's Deep. Holy shit, look to the east. Fucking hell. Angle on that slope.
Dude, that map is...
Thanks goes out to my patrons for supporting my work over on Patreon. Special thanks goes to Matteo Olivetti, Nerdington, the Rode451, Halcyon, and Robert Sparks.